Lin stood poised before a group of vampires. His gaze fell upon one, visibly weakened, leaning on another for support. The man then proposed a collaboration with Lin and his loyal followers, a proposal that left the vampire ladies utterly stunned. Lin, a sly grin playing on his lips, raised his hand high and offered them precisely what they craved: blood. The vampires, pale and fragile, exchanged hesitant glances, but they were in absolutely no position to refuse as they cautiously gathered around. Lin seized the moment to deliver a cutting taunt. "Your current blood reserves won't last much longer," he declared with a knowing smirk. His words struck a raw nerve, highlighting their desperate dependency on outside resources for their very survival. Lin then made his offer even more enticing, explaining that goblin blood, while normally of little to no value, contained unique, special properties. These properties, he revealed, could entirely replace the human blood they had been relying on. But the significant catch was that the vampire ladies would have to embrace a far more primal form of existence, becoming like succubi. The vampires were utterly confused, their brows furrowing in deep confusion. Some of them whispered urgently among themselves, exchanging doubtful, wary looks. Lin, keenly observing their reaction, let out a subtle cough, masking his amusement at their clear naivete, or perhaps hiding his excitement for the potential partnership. The story then began to unfold, revealing how succubi had previously discovered a valuable substance, a mysterious white sauce, that provided them with ample sustenance, without the need for violent bloodshed. For centuries, succubi had been utilizing this substance as their primary source of nourishment, relying on it to survive without ever harming others. This monumental discovery had freed them from the vicious cycle of endless hunting and killing, offering a stable, truly sustainable way of life. Suddenly, a goblin among Lin's followers fell to the ground. His body quivered, utterly drained. His jaw hung slack, his eyes vacant, a stark testament to the toll their sacrifice had wrought. Yet Lin, completely undeterred, stepped boldly forward, flexing his own muscles and those of his unwavering followers. "We may be lacking in many areas," he declared confidently, "but one thing we do have is incredible strength, and, most importantly, the white sauce." The vampire ladies, initially skeptical, yet undeniably intrigued, listened intently as Lin presented them with an endless, bountiful supply of this very special white sauce, all in exchange for their invaluable cooperation. He proposed a groundbreaking partnership, mutually beneficial to all, promising them a stable and secure future, should they agree to join forces. The formidable vampire leader, a formidable woman with piercing, crimson eyes, hesitated. She voiced deep concerns regarding their loyalty to Baron, their long-standing tyrannical master, and the perilous dangers of acting independently. Yet, despite her reservations, her resolve remained unshaken. The centuries of relentless suffering they had endured had pushed her to desperately consider any potential solution, even one as utterly unorthodox as Lin's audacious offer. "If this truly works," she declared with a newfound conviction, "then it could be the very salvation we've relentlessly searched for. We will no longer have to perpetually risk our lives for mere survival." With that resolute declaration, she stepped forward, her monumental decision made, and bravely began the process of extracting the white sauce. The other vampires collectively gasped in utter disbelief, their eyes wide with astonishment as their leader took this monumental first step towards this revolutionary new method of nourishment. The atmosphere within the chamber grew palpably tense as it anxiously awaited the critical results. Mere moments later, the undeniable results became astonishingly clear. The leader's initial expression of doubt swiftly shifted into pure, unadulterated astonishment as she fully realized that the legendary white sauce was indeed a flawless and perfect substitute for fresh blood. A collective, loud gasp reverberated through the chamber, followed by an excited chorus of ecstatic exclamations. Is this truly real? One vampire gasped, her voice absolutely brimming with sheer disbelief. I must try for myself, another eagerly proclaimed. The scene rapidly descended into joyous pandemonium as the ecstatic vampire ladies clamored to test this miraculous substance for themselves. They surged ahead, their enthusiasm boiling over into frantic energy. One vampire lady, trying to maintain order, bellowed for everyone to calm down. But the situation was spiraling completely out of control. Amidst the commotion, Lin let out a frustrated sigh and called for one of his subordinates to help steady him. His hand trembled slightly as the chaos intensified. And just as things seemed to be getting totally out of hand, Lin was saved by the graceful clan mother of the elves, who stepped in to offer him support. She teased him gently, commenting on how difficult it must be to handle the eager vampire ladies. Indeed, Lin muttered, this group of bloodsuckers has completely lost their minds. The elven woman, addressing him by his clan's name, offered a reassuring smile. Lin, grateful for her support, finally took a moment to catch his breath. As the situation calmed, the vampire leader, now convinced that Lin's offer was genuine, stepped forward with renewed determination. I agree to the partnership, she declared, her voice firm and resolute. But what do you expect from us in return? Lin gestured to the dark, vast cave that surrounded them, its shadows a perfect sanctuary for the vampire ladies. This cave, he explained, is a perfect home for you. It's hidden from the outside world, and it will provide you with all the privacy and security you need. He laid out the terms of their agreement. The vampire ladies would protect the cave from intruders, ensuring its safety. In return, they would have access to the white sauce, allowing them to thrive without conflict or the need for constant hunting. The vampire leader, her resolve unshaken, nodded. She understood the significance of Lin's offer. It was a rare opportunity, and one they couldn't afford to pass up. We will protect the cave, she promised, and in return, we will have a future, free from the dangers that have plagued us for so long. And just like that, the deal was sealed. Lin and the vampire ladies embarked on a powerful new alliance. Lin's confidence in the partnership only grew as he watched the vampire group settle into their peaceful new life. No longer dependent on perilous blood hunts, the dark cave became their sacred sanctuary, a place where they could finally live in peace. And mysterious white sauce proved to be the key to their very survival. The vampire leader stood perfectly still, her eyes fixed intently on the ground, as she silently pondered Lin's audacious offer. The cave was dark, and the flickering shadows only seemed to amplify the immense weight of her decision she had to make. Then, after a few moments, her expression subtly shifted. A confident smirk spread slowly across her lips, signaling that her choice was made. She shot Lin a brief, calculating glance, before turning and walking into the cave's depths, her silhouette fading quickly into the shadows. Lin watched her retreat with a sly smile, a low hum escaping his lips, as if already plotting his next move. The scene then shifts to a seemingly peaceful city. Under the cover of night, the streets lie quiet, with the soft glow of streetlights reflecting off the cobblestone roads. However, this tranquility is soon shattered by a loud, angry voice erupting from a nearby building. Inside, the air fills with insults and frustration as one man curses another, calling him a complete failure. The voice belongs to an adventurer in a bustling tavern, where tensions are clearly running high. At a table in the corner, two adventurers are locked in a fierce argument. One, a brash and boastful man, mocks his companion, accusing him of brazenly pretending to be a high-ranking diamond adventurer, mockingly claiming that even goblin territories are far too dangerous for him. The other man, red-faced and fuming, angrily retorts, accusing his opponent of blatant dishonesty and greed, refusing to share any of the rewards from their past quests. The argument only intensifies until both men slam their hands onto the table. In frustration, the noise reverberates across the tavern, drawing the attention of every single patron, just as the conflict seems on the verge of spilling over. The tavern door creaks open, and a woman steps inside. She's dressed in elegant white armor, and the delicate movement of her handkerchief to her nose catches everyone's attention. One of the adventurers, still seething with anger, freezes when he sees her. His eyes widen in disbelief, and he stammers in awe. "Sword Saint." The room falls silent as the adventurer approaches the woman, his voice filled with admiration and relief. "Sword Saint, you're alive," he exclaims, his words full of joy, as he had believed she was lost in a previous battle. Soon, the other adventurers gather around the Sword Saint, drawn to her powerful presence. They take seats at her table, with her sword resting confidently by her side. One of the adventurers, emboldened by her presence, suggests an ambitious plan. "We should unite all adventurers for an assault on Dragon Island," he says. "We can finally wipe out the goblins and dragons in one decisive blow." But not all the adventurers are as enthusiastic. One man hesitates, voicing his concerns about their limitations. "Do we, as ordinary adventurers, really have the strength to take on such a mission?" he questions nervously, unsure if they can truly contribute to the effort. As the tension builds, another adventurer steps forward with a casual grin. "Count me in," he says nonchalantly, as though this were just another quest. "It's just lending a hand, right?" He introduces himself confidently as Allison, a diamond-ranked marksman, and offers his assistance in the battle to come. "I'll lead an organized group and help safeguard our path to victory." The Sword Saint, seated gracefully at the table, she acknowledges his offer with a faint, approving smile. She then assigns him a truly vital task, to deal with the menacing goblin threat. But Allison, with a calculated gleam in his eye, approaches the Sword Saint. His tone suddenly turns more serious. "I also need your help," he says, mentioning her rumored expertise in magical transportation. "Would you guide me to Dragon Island? I would be honored to have your protection for the journey." The Sword Saint nods with her usual poise. "I can help you," she agrees calmly, her voice unwavering. Allison expresses his gratitude, calling it an honor to fight alongside her. But as he steps back, a sly smile crosses his face, betraying his true intentions. In his mind, he schemes to use this mission to elevate his status. His eyes set on becoming a legendary adventurer. He would do whatever it took to achieve that goal. Deep within a cavern, a glowing, spiked sphere hovers above a shimmering blue pool. Swarms of dark dragons circle the space, their wings casting eerie shadows on the walls. A dragon-like woman cradles the glowing sphere, protectively shielding it from harm. We learn it's the purple dragon, God-woman. Suddenly, rain begins to fall, the droplets finding their way into the cavern and creating an eerie echo. The woman stirs, her eyes opening wide with confusion. She holds the spiked sphere tighter, glancing around nervously, as though sensing something unexpected. Looking up, she spots a massive dragon, soaring through the stormy sky above the rocky terrain. Her lips move, murmuring words that reflect her growing awareness of the situation. She seems surprised, perhaps, at the resilience of someone, or something she had gravely underestimated. Her attention shifts back to the glowing sphere. In her grasp, holding it closer, her sharp nails press into its surface, as if she were protecting her most precious treasure. The woman's expression softens as she whispers to the sphere, lovingly calling it her child. Her voice grew tender as she spoke of its father, someone she described as truly special. She gently pressed her lips to the sphere, cradling it as if it were a living creature. Suddenly, the air around her began to warp. A surge of fierce purple flames engulfed her, transforming her into a fierce, menacing entity. Her once gentle demeanor was replaced by a fiery, commanding presence. A voice then echoed through the cavern, mocking her transformation, daring her to act. From the surging flames emerged a massive dragon, cloaked in purple fire, its roar shaking the very ground. The cavern trembled beneath its sheer, raw power. In the distance, a ravaged battlefield came into view. The ground was littered with the remains of enormous creatures, their severed limbs and tails scattered amidst pools of crimson blood. A figure stepped forward through the carnage. She was a formidable warrior, clad in white armor streaked with crimson. It was none other than the legendary Sword Saint. Her calm, determined stride stood in stark contrast to the surrounding chaos. Her gaze locked onto the dragon, whose purple flames danced wildly in the dim light. The woman addressed the beast with unwavering resolve, calling it the mother of purple dragons. Her voice carried both accusation and challenge. The dragon responded with a mocking laugh, taunting her about a past defeat. At the claws of Griffin, it questioned her courage, mocking her determination to stand against it again. But the warrior remained unfazed. Drawing her sword, which glowed with radiant blue energy, she declared she didn't need the dragon's protection. Instead, she accused it of threatening her people and vowed to end its reign of terror. Her promise was crystal clear. The dragon's life would be ended by her blade. With a fierce battle cry, she lunged forward, unleashing a wave of blue energy from her sword. The dragon's eyes glowed with pure rage, its mouth opening wide to unleash a torrent of purple flames. The flames tore through the air, clashing violently with the warrior's energy. With a violent explosion, the shockwave ripped through the battlefield, tearing the ground open and sending debris flying. The warrior was hurled back, overwhelmed by the dragon's attack. She was almost completely overpowered. A nearby stone wall crumbled under the relentless onslaught, leaving utter destruction in its wake. Amidst the chaos, a man dove for cover, just barely dodging the deadly flames. Trembling, he gazed up at the colossal dragon, its immense size dwarfing everything in sight. But before he could react any further, a firm hand gripped him from behind. It was the woman, scaling the dragon's jagged scales, moving with incredible agility. Purple energy crackled all around them as she swiftly ascended toward the beast's head. Back on the ground, the warrior charged again. Her glowing sword pulsed with power. She unleashed a devastating slash, targeting the dragon's massive body, unleashing another massive shockwave. The battlefield shook as the dragon roared in pain. Its massive body glowed ominously with purple energy. "Stay back," the warrior yelled at the man, her voice firm and commanding. "Don't interfere." Enraged, the dragon unleashed a fresh attack, jaws wide open. It unleashed a torrent of magical energy. Purple crystals erupted violently from the ground, targeting the warrior with incredible speed. The shards tore through the battlefield like deadly spears, piercing deep into the earth and carving out craters where they struck. One of the shards found its mark. The man shrieked in agony as it almost struck his leg. His screams echoed across the battlefield. He clutched his mouth in sudden embarrassment, with desperation etched across his face. The warrior simply gritted her teeth, refusing to back down. Her glowing sword pulsed with raw energy as she prepared for another powerful strike. Despite the crushing, overwhelming odds, her resolve remained absolutely unshaken. This was her fight, a battle to protect her people and defeat the monstrous dragon threatening everything she held dear. The dragon roared in fury, unleashing another barrage of magic-infused crystals. They rocketed through the air with blinding speed, aiming to completely overwhelm her opponent. But the warrior didn't even flinch. With her glowing blue blade in hand, she quickly closed the distance, unleashing her ultimate technique. Her sword, blazing with radiant energy, struck directly at the dragon's massive form. The sheer force of her attack, known as Steel Gale, sent a devastating storm of energy tearing through the beast. Red cracks instantly spread across its scales as the powerful blow utterly shattered its defenses. The dragon roared in agony, its massive form collapsing from the sky and crashing to the ground with a thunderous impact. Amidst the wreckage, the glowing spiked sphere, once so protectively clutched, lay shattered on the ground, leaking a strange, shimmering liquid. In the aftermath, a smaller green dragon emerged, perched on a rocky ledge nearby. Its claws gripped the crumbling rock beneath it, and its eyes burned with fierce determination. The blonde warrior stood atop a towering boulder below, blood dripping from her injuries, and her face bore scratches from the intense battle. She clutched her arm in pain, but spoke with surprising calm, noting her strike had been slightly off target. "I was aiming for your head," she remarked, her voice steady. "But it seems I only grazed your eye." The dragon woman, wounded and enraged, struggled to her feet, her breath ragged, but her determination was utterly unbroken. "You're insane," she spat, glaring at the warrior. "I'll fight you to the death." Despite her injuries, the dragon woman charged forward, her resolve completely unwavering. Just as their brutal battle seemed ready to resume, a powerful voice echoed through the chaos, cutting sharply through the tension and stopping them both dead in their tracks.